welcome to the James and Joe Garden Show. I think we need a jingle.
We got a jingle. We got ding, ding.
I know, but this is like an extra jingle. We need an extra thing, like sort of, I think we need to channel our inner Kid Jensen's. do a jingle of some sort. Okay, so we are officially the least sensible gardening podcast on the planet, which is what Louis said, and I don't think that's entirely fair, because I think quite a lot we do is extremely sensible.
Well, that's true, but is there a least sensible gardening podcast than us? That's the point.
Not one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Not one worth listening to.
Well, I think a lot of them are worth listening to, and we should be nice to our
competitors.
Compadres, I was going to say, rather than competitors.
Jimmy, you're too nice.
I know. Every week we tackle a garden topic. Sometimes it's sensible. Sometimes it's informative. Sometimes it's instructional. Other times, sometimes less so. And so we are armed with sharp opinions. We have sharp opinions, don't we, Joe?
We got very sharp opinions. And also we've got a never-ending source of podcast titles as well. We went through some the other day and we were on like page 28, weren't we?
Just keep going.
And also a lot of our listeners send in topics as well. So we've got this thing, it's rolling. We're on a roll.
We've got a rolling thing. So anybody who thought that we were fly by night and going to leave quickly is going to be sadly disappointed, because we're going to be around for ages. We've got 40 years worth of stories, and occasionally we just wander off in a different direction and come somewhere else.
When you say 40 years of stories, does that mean they take 40 years to tell?
Some of them are really, really dull and very, very long. It's undoubtedly the case. We need to have a topic for today, and I think that we've chosen quite a sensible one, which is compost. How many compost heaps you got?
Well, I've got one compost heap, but I've got lots of piles of compost dotted around the garden waiting to be amalgamated or turned into official compost heaps, or maybe not. Because I'm thinking about this as as I garden and as I develop this space, I find that I don't want a compost heap where I have to schlep all my arisings.
Your arisings. We talked about arisings before, yeah.
Schlep all my arisings from one side of this quite large garden to another to compost it, and then schlep it all the way back. So, strategically, tactically, I think I'm going to have quite a few compost heaps dotted around, but they might not be proper compost. They might not be in a compost bin. They might just be a pile of compost.
But then a pile of compost, a pile of arisings, quite rapidly becomes a wildlife haven, and then you can't move them again because it's full of insects and bugs and rabbits and also all of those sort of people as well. So, but I think you're right. In a big garden, you need to have more than one compost heap.
But all compost heaps end up full of wildlife.
Yeah, I know, but if you just leave it without turning it, without looking after it and all that, I mean, it depends. You've got a number of compost heaps. How do you manage them? What I do is that I have three, it's quite a classic.
Are you going into practical advice?
Yes.
Straight away?
Straight away.
You're early doors, Jimmy.
Sensible topic.
Okay.
We're going to come back. I've got a sort of supplementary to this. I'll tell you about in a minute, but I just wanted to just say, you've got them dotted around the place. I think it's a good idea. Mine are all in one place, and I've got three 1 meter bays, and you fill up one.
Classic.
And then you turn it into the other one, and it's the sort of job you think, oh God, that would be a pain. But actually, I really, really enjoy it. I've got a massive fork, a great big pitchfork, and you just lift up Great Thompson and put them from one to the other one, and then you tidy it all up, and then it's like tucking a baby into bed. It's got that, and it's got a little cover. It's got a little old duvet on top of it, and then a little lid, and you say, "Good night, darling," and then the compost heap sits there and just rots quietly and happily down. Yeah. So those are the sort of two. Yours is more random. Mine is more disciplined.
Yeah. I'm wondering whether I want what you've got now, because I know exactly what you mean, and for a lot of our clients we design that, and I have had compost heaps in the past in other gardens, and first of all you've got to have more than one.
Yeah.
Okay, because one, you just put it all in there, and then you take it all out and you put it all back to front or whatever. But you've got to have at least two, if not three, like you've got.
Yeah.
Because then you've got this succession and everything's at a different stage. Yeah. And it also is much more practical. It works a lot better.
What we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to go back to the beginning here, because we've got a question that relates to compost. And so we take it, we're talking as if everybody knows what a compost heap is. So we're going to go right back to basics. So
is
this
it
is
an American? Because they call it compost.
Well, they have a weird way of doing it, don't they?
They can't call it compost. They don't say call it compost.
They don't say compost. They don't say it right. They say it wrong. So this is Katie in Washington, USA, whether it's Washington State or Washington, D.C. I presume it's Washington State, which is over on the sort of west. I've been there. I've been to a place called Spokane in Washington. So, hello, James and Joe. I was playing in the garden with my friend's 3.5-year-old kid. He was hiding toys and I was tasked with finding them. Nice story. I found one hidden in the fresh grass clippings on top of my compost pile. When I complimented his cleverness of burying a toy in the compost, he looked at me with utter confusion and asked, "What is compost?" Or what? I wish I could remember how the Americans say it.
Compost.
Compost. That sounds frightfully English. What is compost? I attempted an explanation, but as his eyes glazed over, I realized my approach was too technical. So, to remedy my failing, I have come to you on behalf of my kid friend. Can you describe compost in a short, sweet soundbite that is inspiring, or at least digestible, for a small child? Okay, so what is compost? Here is little Billy looking at you with big blue eyes and saying, Uncle Joe, what's compost? How are you going to answer him?
I say, Billy, it's simple. All it is all the green stuff that's been growing in your garden. It breaks down into a beautiful material that you then use back in the garden to complete that cycle. That's all it is, Billy. It's a wonderful thing. And to make it, you've got to think like you're making a nice cake, maybe some cupcakes or some cheesecake recipe. You got to get the texture right. You got to get the right amount of moisture, but you're keeping all that wonderful energy, God's energy, in your garden. Okay. Billy, is that too? No.
I mean, it's there.
Okay, you have a go. Come on,
there.
I've had a go. Okay. You have a go.
Okay, Billy.
And he's not your nephew. He's my nephew.
Oh, sorry. So I can still call him Billy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
That's lovely. We both got that. We both got a nephew with the same name, and that's quite weird, isn't it?
It is quite odd. Okay, Billy. Compost is what happens when you cut things down in your garden and you put all the green stuff, as Uncle Joe says, into the compost heap. And then what happens is something magical. In all of it together, and then all sorts of little critters come into it. There are beetles and bugs and worms and all sorts of things like that. And they hasten the fact that this stuff is beginning to rot.
Hasten? No. Okay, he doesn't understand the word hasten.
Basically, all the stuff, it begins to rot.
Yeah.
And as it rots, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And one of the most exciting things about a compost heap is you can put your arm into it, you can feel how warm it is. And that warmth is generated purely by the power of putrefaction. Yes.
Love it.
It's basically, it's rotting stuff. It's stuff that gets old and rotten. It's like people's bodies when they're put in coffins. They basically they rot and they get eaten by
all right. So you're scaring the poor kid now. Okay, and Billy, how do you spell putrefaction?
Putrefaction.
Yeah,
but it's basically it's a power of rotting, isn't it? Basically,
it's the power of rotting, but it's also keeping everything in the garden, all the green stuff and the browns actually. Okay, so the perfect compost mix is.
Have we got rid of Billy now?
No. But Billy's still hanging around.
Yeah,
and also he's putting his little toys on the compost heap. Yeah. On the grass clippings.
Yeah.
Now, it's very important those grass clippings are in thin layers, isn't it, James?
It is indeed.
Because otherwise, if you get too much, it just goes anaerobic and stinky.
Yeah.
So if you're going to we are giving some advice here. If you're going to put grass clippings in, just put them in thin layers in your compost, okay? And then put your little toy on the top.
Yeah, but okay, if you've got a thin layer of green grass clippings, what's the next layer made of?
This is it. Okay, so classically you're looking at about 50 greens and 50 browns.
So what's a brown, Uncle Joe?
This is the problem. I'm a bit confused about this because a leaf is green and then it goes brown, Right, so is that a green or is it a brown?
I think that browns would be woodier things that you cut up into smaller
Cardboard
things. Cardboard, I think, is good.
Definitely
Shredded paper is excellent.
Shredded paper is good.
Yeah. When the
Yeah,
FBI
well,
is
all
after
your bank,
you,
all your bank statements,
all
and
of that.
your tax affairs, when you shred it, like you have done.
Yeah.
Is that? Oh, maybe we shouldn't put that in. But you shredded it and put it on the compost, and actually they'll never be able to trace any of that stuff.
When the FBI come after you, Billy, because of some major tax fraud that you've done, the IRS are knocking at your door. And if you've shredded everything and put it on the compost heap, then, as Joe says, they've got nothing on you, mate.
Yeah, and those worms have taken it down.
Yeah,
they've turned it into nothing.
So basically, they've taken the woody stuff, the sort of twigs, the sort of twiggier things. The other things you can put on there is kitchen waste, provided it's not cooked.
Is that a brown or green though?
I think that's sort of
a grey area. That's a grey area.
I think we're going to call it, for the sake of this, we're going to call it breen.
Breen
Or ground.
Breen. Ground's
it's,
nice.
It's a ground. So kitchen waste, coffee grounds, apple cores, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
everything should go.
The contents of your Hoover.
The contents of your dust.
Yeah, dusty
dust
stuff,
is quite
hair
good.
and stuff like
hair
that.
cuttings. Whenever you have your hair cut.
Yeah.
Joe.
I just had a shape up just yesterday, James.
And
you noticed that I got rid of the comb over, and now I've gone.
You've gone
for a number half. This is a number half.
You've gone for a very short mullet. But if I have my hair cut at home, then I put the hair on there. The clippings from any dogs or cats can go onto it. All sorts of pretty much everything.
Okay, but what you should never put on compost is meat,
cooked food,
food products, unless you're going to because. Councils, I think we've talked about it. Councils compost at a much higher temperature, and they sterilise all that stuff. But don't, because that's going to encourage rodents into your garden, Billy, and we don't want that. Okay.
I mean, there are rodents in your garden anyway, but you don't really want to see them if you can possibly avoid it. And most gardens will have a rat population lurking around the place. Yeah, I find them occasionally.
Yeah. But compost is a wonderful thing. I love making compost as well. So now I am thinking about maybe having a proper compost heap, because the process that you went into, it's brilliant, isn't it? And then you end up with this stuff that you put back on. So what do you do with your compost at the end? You can use it as a mulch. You can use it potting compost. You can sieve it. You want to kind of try and keep the sticks out of it, but you can use it in so many different ways as well.
One of the things that I've discovered is that you will never make enough compost to actually mulch your whole garden, because that's ideally what you're going to do, and you're never ever going to make enough. So you might have to buy some in, or bring some in, or get some from somewhere else. But the compost that you have, you should value, you should look after. If you have a smaller garden, you don't have space for a 3-bay compost heap like I'm lucky enough to have, and you're lucky enough to have. Then there's those various things that you have.
A tumbler. I had one in Hackney. I had a tumbler in the front garden. Yeah, it did work, actually. It did. But, you can only put a certain amount of stuff in it, and then it's full. And then you're tumbling away and waiting, and so you have to empty it out completely and take some of the stuff out and put some of the stuff. But it's a bit of a faff. But for a small garden, it's good. And we've talked about worms as well. When I gardened in Australia, when I landscaped Australia.
Yes, I remember that.
I was there for a year. Well. I did most of it, and Uluru or Ayers Rock was a bit tricky. We've talked about that.
Yeah. No, you have. You managed it.
But on the way over, I was flying over as a 19-year-old kid, basically, and in the book, I was looking at all the deadly. It was one of those guides, those rough guides or something. I think they'd only just invented them.
What, a rough guide to deadly creatures?
No, rough guide to Australia.
Okay.
Or whatever it was. And there was something about snakes and spiders and all this stuff, and it said funnel web spiders, and I was heading to Sydney. Where are they? Oh, they're in the Sydney area, and where are they commonly found? Yeah, in compost heaps. Yeah, right. So then I get this landscaping job, and my first job is the guy goes, "Oh, we're going to move the compost heap from I'm not going to do my Australian accent. I don't know how they call it compost, from that corner over to that corner." And I just read that this is where all these funnel webs, and they jump, and they jump on your neck and then get you, and then it's all over.
Did you ever see one?
No, but I did ask for a pair of gloves. I said, "Can I have a pair of gloves?" And the guy, he just thought that was hysterical. You soft pommy bastard, It was all like that. I was like, "Well, I've just read that that's where." No, mate. Just move it from there over to there, and that's job done.
Well, I don't know whether they have that problem in Washington, where Billy lives, basically. But I mean, here in this country, the compost heap is a friendly place. We have lots of worms. Those sort of, are they called brandling worms? The red ones.
Yeah, composting worms.
Composting
They
worms.
just turn up.
We have wood lice in there, which lovely, or slaters is what we call them in Scotland.
Oh,
You have slaters, and there's another name for them from Norfolk, but I can't remember what it is. So that's a useless piece of fact. The
slow worms. Have you got?
I haven't seen a slow worm, but I think we have a grass snake.
Oh, yeah.
We have quite a decent sized grass snake. Oh, I was in a client's garden.
But that's the problem. Okay, so say you see something like a grass snake, then do you stop turning that compost heap? Do you then think, okay, this is now an environment, a wildlife environment, habitat, so I better leave that one for a bit, because the minute you go in there and turn it, I mean, what if you find a hedgehog in there or something?
The hedgehog won't be able to get in because it's
you've got
sort of raised. I mean, hedgehog are much more likely to be in your random compost piles around the place. So you need to be very careful of those. The grass snake tends to disappear as soon as you see him. You stop to have a conversation with the grass snake, and it basically doesn't hang around.
That's what I mean. It's scaring him off.
Yeah, but he's going off somewhere else. He's got busy things about grass snakes. I had a film sent to me by a client the other day of a grass snake swallowing a frog.
Wow.
Which was quite something.
In their garden?
Yeah, basically. It was
they
in
didn't
their
just
garden.
found it off YouTube?
No. It was in their garden. It was next door to their compost heap, and it had come out and had eaten a frog. Tough for the frog. Interesting bit of natural history, however, on the whole thing. So we have good creatures in there. I remember finding grass snake eggs, which are sort of slightly rubbery, joined together snake eggs in the compost heap as well. And then there were lots and lots of little baby grass snakes as well, which was quite sweet and quite cute. So I think that unlike Australia, which is a hostile environment in the compost heap, where jumping spiders and vicious snakes, we don't have that. I don't know what they have in Washington. In Washington, they probably have bears.
Yeah.
Bears in the compost heap,
bears in the compost heap.
Well, I mean, okay, if you're a bear and you're looking for some food,
okay, yeah,
and you've just put a whole load of windfall apples. At the moment, all compost heaps are probably full of windfall apples because there's a lot of them lying around the place. Then, if I was a bear, I would stop for a snack on the way past, wouldn't you?
If I was a bear, I'd probably think about that. Yeah, and then I'd, obviously poop in the garden just to let everyone know that let everyone know that I'd been there.
What about other ways? Because the other things that we do, which I suppose is composting, is dig a trench before you plant your runner beans. Do you think we're getting too technical here?
No, well, I did that when I had the allotment. Yeah, but you can chuck
and
a lot.
Just put it all in.
Well, you put all the compost in, but you can put old newspapers in there. You can put leaves in there.
Well, I think
it's moisture retention, isn't it? And so you get an easy, nice, moist root run for your.
But I wouldn't use.
This is getting a bit.
I wouldn't use good compost for that.
GW.
I would I know, we're just going to go very briefly into the church, because every so often it's quite good that we just poach a little bit of Gardener's World territory.
We've also got to let people know we do know a little bit about what we're talking about. We're not, we're not just having a stab at all of this.
No, I mean, if we were doing a podcast about neurophysics.
Yeah, well, that would be easy.
Then that would be no problem.
That would be easy.
But we need to show that we know something. So this is just a little bit. On my bean trench, instead of using the valuable compost, we just chuck bits of old food into it. So all the vegetable peelings and some newspapers, as you say. Dig a trench, fill it full of pre-composted
Did you dig
compost.
it nice and early, so you've got a few weeks of chucking your potato peelings?
Yeah, and then you're just chucking potato peelings, or you store the potato peelings, and you put as much as you possibly can into there, and a bit of shredded newspaper, a few more of the IRS tax documents that we've shredded in the office, all of that kind of stuff. That goes in there.
We call them the Inland Revenue.
I know, but I'm doing it. I'm
or
doing it
HMRC.
for Katie in Washington.
Yeah,
just giving her a little bit of advice if she decides to do some sort of major fraud.
That's probably the best bit of advice we've given.
It's a good bit there. So anything can go into that bean trench, and then everything else goes into. What about? Okay, so I'm going back into Gardener's World territory here. What about putting weeds in your compost heap?
Well, yeah, this is. I tend not to really, because they've either got a root, some sort of pernicious root, or they've got seed in there. Alice Fowler taught me quite a good one, because she wanted to compost everything in the old days. Well, she probably still does. And she'd put things in like a plastic bag and just let them, and then leave them on the top until they heated up and just basically molded and rotted away so much that there was no way any part of this weed was coming back to life at all, and then composted it.
You could do the same thing if you put it in a bucket of water, I guess, couldn't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
So you have a bucket of water and you put your bindweed stuff into that.
Chuck it all in there so it's so, mushy and rotten.
I tend to put my bad weeds into the green bin.
Yeah.
So that gets taken away. Then it gets composted hotter.
They compost it, at a much higher temperature and kill everything off completely.
Yeah.
I once had to do I went to an allotment, this amazing guy, and filmed it for Gardeners World. And I remember we were there until quite late in the evening. And then often at the end of the day's filming, you do the voiceover. So we'd filmed this guy, Jack, on his allotment, and he had all these hotbeds. You know hotbeds?
Yeah.
Hotbeds. So you're using the heat of all the compost, amazing, through the winter. And then you're putting some, 6 inches of soil over the top of it, and then you're growing all this veg through the winter just using the heat.
Yeah.
And his, salads and veg, it was amazing. And also because there's no sort of pests and diseases around at that time of year, his stuff was absolutely incredible. All fueled by the heat of this compost and growing through the winter. Anyway, I had a line of voiceover, which was at the end of it, which was, when Jack's built his raised beds, he then fills it with his own compost, which we got terrible giggles. And, the idea of Jack filling it with his own compost, and we just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. We were there for like half an hour. And I think we just gave up in the end. And the director said, "I will make it work somehow." But it was a terrible line.
It is. I mean, it's like pineapples. They used to grow pineapples in the same way.
Yeah.
I wrote an article about it for Scribe Hound.
Yeah.
And that you'd have this sort of this box with a pot in it and the pineapple, and then you pack the whole thing around with manure, not exactly compost.
Yeah.
And that really much. We haven't really spoken about manure. We ought to talk about manure briefly in a second.
Well, and leaf mould.
While
we're at it, come on.
We're going to do the whole thing. We're running out of time. We need to. Okay, so pineapple, lots and lots of manure around that, mixed with oak bark, because that makes it hotter and hotter and hotter, and that's how they grew the first
melons as well.
Yeah, all of that, and grapes are slightly different. Grapes, what you should do if you're planting a new grapevine, you should plant it on the body of a dead horse.
Right, and
it's traditionally the way to do it.
Where do you get one of those?
Well, I mean, same place you get. Same place you get.
It's a bit tricky.
It's the same place you get a dead sheep, I think, probably.
Oh, okay, the dead sheep shop.
It's from the dead sheep.
Oh, I see.
Okay, very briefly, leaf mould. People put leaf moulds in sort of separate things. I tend to chuck it in the compost heap as well and have it all together.
Yeah, well, but leaf mould has, because compost can be quite rich, and it can be. This is far too much information, but leaf mould is quite inert, really. It's just a soil improver. It's good for drainage and woodland areas.
It's basically made of dead leaves.
And some people just have their leaves in bins, or you can put them in plastic bags and just pierce a few holes and put some water in it and leave them around the back of the shed. Yeah. And a year later, you've got this lovely friable,
it's quite nice,
leaf mould, which I really like.
I like compost, because we haven't really covered the sort of the pervy side of composting, have we yet?
Oh, you had to do it, didn't you?
Well,
you had to go there.
It's very soft and it's very okay, we're going to leave composting now.
No, I want to know that. But
but it's just it's like you running your hands through good compost is like it's like stroking velvet.
Yeah, well, that's fine,
isn't it? Really,
that's not too pervy, James.
It's like wearing velvet pants.
Yeah. Oh, now we're going. Okay. Yeah. I haven't got. I hope little Jimmy's
little Billy's
not.
He's gone to bed.
Billy, he's bored by now.
Okay. Sure. What we're going to do is we're going to.
But it is an amazing thing. A lot of people are scared, or they don't like. They think it's smelly stuff. They think, oh God, compost. I don't want that anywhere near the house. I don't want it in my garden. As if it's a negative. It's not. It's an amazing thing. It doesn't smell when it's done right, and it does take a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of skill, a bit of experience to get a really nice mix. It is like making a nice cake. And you got to know what to put in it, not to put in it, enough moisture, how long to cook it, turn it over, all that sort of stuff. Mary Berry, eat your heart out. the Great Bake Off. They should have the Great Compost Off.
I think that's the next thing. That's what we're going to do. Is we're going to develop the next compost off. But by saying that, you're making it sound a bit scary. I want to make people, because we want to encourage people to do it.
No, not scary.
As much as possible. And you know, you put it in there, you will end up with something that is better than it was when it went in there in the first place.
Yeah, and it just might take, you know, it takes a bit longer, mate. You know, the better you are, the quicker it gets, and the more work you put into it, and the more thought, you know, the quicker it turns around, and the better the compost is. But all compost is good.
Putrefaction is inevitable. It just may take slightly longer in some compost heaps than others.
You just wanted to say putrefaction again, didn't you? You just had to get it in there.
We're going to send Katie in Washington a gnome for that.
I think she should get a gold one. How many gold ones have we got? We got any left?
Well, we got lots. Okay, we're going to send her a gold gnome.
Because we've done a whole, 20, 25 minutes on compost.
And that may be something that the listening public may regret, but tough, we've done it.
We don't want that to be hidden in the compost as part of the game that they play.
No, we want it to be on a mantel shelf.
Yeah, we want it somewhere prominent.
Okay, so we're going to send Katie in Washington a golden gnome. We ought to have a noise that we make when you give out a golden gnome.
Well, Louis will put it in. You go say it, and then Louis will just add it in after. In post. And
Katie gets a golden gnome. Do you think that's a good voice?
Well, where does the noise go? It goes.
And Katie gets, then the noise comes in.
Okay. Oh, then pause. Okay, do it again.
And Katie gets a golden gnome. Yeah, it's sort of half darts commentary.
Yeah.
And half children's party. That's what we're after. Okay, we've got questions. It's question time. We ought to have another jingle at this point, which is, it's question time. Or do you think that's the one that Fiona Bruce uses on Question Time already? She doesn't have a jingle. We have a jingle. So we got some questions to answer. These are questions that you've very sweetly sent in for us to answer. The rules about our questions, just to remind you, are, Joe?
No dull questions or dead plants.
Yeah, that's basically it. So hopefully there are no dull questions or dead plants in this.
I haven't got my glasses, but I can read at a full arm's length.
Do you want me to be an extra arm for you? You can't read it, can you?
I think I can.
Okay.
Tom in Ealing.
Ealing, right?
Ealing,
nice. West
Ealing
London.
Broadway.
Yep.
Ealing Comedies. Hey?
Oh, God, the Ealing Comedies.
Hey?
Stanley Holloway.
The one with the Lady Killers.
The Lady Killers
was
great. That's got George Cole, who went on to play Arthur Daly in it, and Alec Guinness. Stanley Holloway.
Who's a double bass player?
Was Herbert Lom in it, or was that purely my imagination?
I don't know. It's probably purely your imagination.
Yep.
It's a long question, this. You've made it very clear the Scribe Hound podcast is not a forum for dead plant questions. Well done, Tom. This being the domain of Gardener's Question Time. However, GQT has a long tradition. I can see this going somewhere. I'm not sure. GQT has a long tradition of jovial final questions, such as, if you could only have one plant in your garden, what would it be? Oh, how jovial. Sorry, Tom.
Okay.
Or, if you were a tree, what would you be and why? As an homage to this long-running horticultural institution, what would you suggest as a possible final GQT question from the Scribe Hound team?
Oh God, we've got to think on our feet now. We're not very good at that.
Wow, Tom, our final question.
Okay, because they do. You get through Gardener's Question Time, and there's a load of stuff, and there's some of it's exciting and some of it's less exciting.
What about what other garden designer would you like to take out first? Would that be a good one?
Oh, that's quite a good one, isn't it?
That's a good one, yeah. Which garden designer, which competitive garden designer would you like to take out first?
See, I don't have that. No, I don't have that killer instinct that you have. You're good at that.
No, it's not killer. I'm trying to do something that's not what if you were a plant, what would you be?
No, we don't. We
have done that. Anyway.
I think that's right. Okay, how about if you had to row across the Atlantic?
Yes, I like this. Yeah.
Just you and one other garden designer / celebrity gardener.
Yeah, or gardener.
Or gardener generally. who would you take with you on your boat? So basically, you're there, you're at Southampton, your family and friend is waving you goodbye.
Jimmy, you've got to keep it short. You've got to keep it honestly, because you don't have to have. You don't want to question them. You've got to explain what it is.
Okay, who is it? Who are you going to take with you?
No, because you can only answer this once. The point is that you answer it at the end of every James and Joe's garden show.
No. Gardener's question time, which is obviously not something you listen to very often.
Well, I do sometimes.
But you get to the end bit, and there's and the last question from Mavis in the front row. Would the panel like to be a tree? You know, that kind of thing. So what I'm saying to you is it only happens once because you can't do it every week. So this is the question. The question is, if you were going to row across the Atlantic with one other gardener, who would it be?
You.
Well, apart from me, because
we could do podcasts all the way there.
I'm in another boat.
No, but also I'm not sure you're the best rower. Are you going to be a good rower? Because I like putting my feet up.
I used to cox.
Oh, really?
Years and years ago, I coxed in a boat. I was in this boat.
Well, there you go.
But hang on. Let me tell you the rest of the story. I coxed in a boat. We went to this regatta somewhere on the Thames, and you had to row up. And what I managed to do...
Were you wearing a blazer?
I was not wearing a blazer. I managed to steer my boat quite badly so that I sank somebody else's boat.
What?
Basically, the front of their boat went onto the back of mine, and there was a rudder sticking out, and I basically snapped the bow off, and the whole boat sank.
Their boat or your boat?
Their boat.
Brilliant!
My boat was fine.
Brilliant! Well, there you go. I'm definitely going with you. Yeah. Okay, who would you go with if you had to row across the Atlantic? I appreciate you don't have to take me.
No, because I've got you already. I think probably we have two boats and we're going together. And I'm in one boat, you're in the other boat.
Okay.
And so you've got to come up with somebody else.
All right.
Somebody who's good at rowing, would be entertaining, maybe good at something else. Who would you have?
You go first.
Okay, I'm going to take with me, because I think that they would be... I would take Carol Klein, but I'm not sure how good she'd be at rowing. I want somebody muscular, somebody efficient, somebody who could probably cook. Do you know who
You're describing me again.
I know I am. I'm going to take Matthew Pottage.
Oh, interesting.
Because he's quite young.
Yeah.
Which means he might be quite good at rowing.
Yeah.
I think he's probably quite good at cooking, which means that we can catch a flying fish or a gannet and barbecue.
I'm doing the fishing.
Okay, no, but I'm not catching a flying fish. Just jumps in the boat. I grab it, knock it on the head, give it to Matthew, and say, "Can you cook that, please?"
I think Gardener's Question Time are probably like really scared now of our finale.
Thing. Okay, so who are you going to take with you?
Oh, I was thinking, well, I should probably take a woman because there's three blokes, but I'm going to take Cleve. Because I think Cleve's got all the qualities as well, and he's got those buttocks, and I'm sure the power of rowing comes from the buttocks.
He would be really, really good at that. Okay, so you can have Cleve. I'm having Matt Pottage. He is a bit blokey. That's but I would like to take. I'd really like to go across the Atlantic with Carol Klein.
Yeah,
I feel it would be the climax of a career for me. Okay. I rode the Atlantic with Carol Klein.
All right. Listen, the beautiful thing about the last question in all is it meant to be short and sweet, and we've absolutely killed that one.
We've knackered that one.
Honestly, it's meant to be. Who would you take? Carol Klein. If you were a plant, what would you be? I'd be a rowan tree. That's it.
Okay, fine. All right. I'm going to take Matt Pottage and Carol Klein together. Carol Klein's going to be a stowaway. I'm going to smuggle her in a.
All right. Stop going on about it.
Okay, here we go.
Move on.
I've got another question. Jeremy, hello.
Hello, Jeremy.
Loving your podcast. I've recently worked with a garden designer on my back garden. She is very talented, but we bumped heads on numerous occasions because of budget. I had a tight budget and she had big plans. There were tears on both sides at times. What is the secret to a great client-designer relationship, and what have been your most difficult experiences with a client? Ooh, interesting. So what's the secret of a great client-designer relationship?
You're asking the wrong person.
We established weeks ago that Joe was very passive-aggressive.
I know what it is. It is honesty.
Yep.
And trust.
Yep.
We talked about trust. A client has to trust you that's why they've got you in the first place, is that they can't do this thing themselves. They want some vision. They want expertise. They want practical advice. They want, someone who can come up with a solution as well, bring all these things together, and they have to trust you and put that to, I think that's the most important thing.
I would agree with that. I think trust is it. You basically have to do. I mean, the ideal client is there and is excited about what's happening and trusts you to make the decisions. Budgets always cause a certain amount of trouble. And basically, the main problem here is that Jeremy is a bit of a skinflint. He's a bit of a tight ass, and he thought that actually
he's wearing his tight budget.
Wearing his tight budget, and
tight budget smugglers.
He needs to spend more money. Obviously, is the thing. There were tears on both sides. I mean, it happens. It is quite an intense thing building a garden.
But also, I think it's important that a designer designs to a budget, and then so you discuss budget from the get-go. And they'll say, I've got X amount, and you say, well, that's not you. You're gonna, and you've got a rough idea by square meterages of paving, planting, lawns, all this sort of stuff. Gravel, we love gravel because it's much cheaper than a beautiful Yorkstone finish. So working to a budget is part of a designer's job, but you need to, rather than going off and designing some incredibly fanciful garden that's all singing, all dancing, without a budget is a crazy thing to do because it's only going to end in tears.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely right, and you need to make sure that trust has to start at the beginning, and you have to have lots of conversations.
But communication is key. Communication at every stage is really important as well.
And the most important thing is that you actually like each other.
Yeah,
I think it's really important that you can sit down with your designer or with your client at the kitchen table and have an honest and fruitful discussion, and you actually want to work with each other.
Have a cup of tea and a slice of cake.
Well, that has to be right. That has to be right. The cake has to be there. It has to be of a sufficient quantity and quality to keep the designer happy. But it's from the beginning. You need to like.
We don't want Greggs, do we? We want something.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We want homemade.
James. We want homemade.
We want homemade.
It doesn't have to be homemade by the client, but maybe by a friend, up the road next door or something. Maybe, ideally, a member of the National Garden Scheme.
Somebody who knows how to make a cake.
That's important.
So
can I just backtrack a bit? Because Tom is going to get a gnome, right, for his GQT question.
Yes, we didn't do the... Tom gets... a green gnome. There we go. Okay, so now we've got Jeremy. So it's whether he gets. It's quite an interesting point, this whole thing. I think that we're both agreed that the important thing is conversation and trust, and liking each other and having a nice time. Because building and making a garden is quite a big commitment on behalf of the client, and it should really be fun. If it's not fun, what's the point of doing it?
Totally. Yeah. We just had the most amazing some feedback from a client who said that we had channeled the universe into his garden.
How big was this garden?
Yeah, they're quite a large garden.
Channeled the universe.
Channeled the universe, and made the most incredible space that he adores. It was like, we like that anyway. Might go on the front of the website, that one.
I think that's definitely there. Channeled the universe. Have you had one that really just didn't work?
Yeah. We have breakdown, clients, communication, and sometimes. I'm not going to go into them too much detail, but sometimes, yes, it doesn't matter how much you communicate with people and you give them visuals and you tell them exactly, you try and show them exactly what they're going to get. That's what I love about some of these visuals now. Is you say, this is pretty much what your garden's going to look like. Not all the planting and everything, but they can walk through it. They can see the feel. They can see it from out of a certain window, whatever. SketchUp and Lumion and all these technical things. I wrote a piece for Scribehound early on, actually, about this, and they are brilliant tools for helping a client, because some people can't visualize things, and a lot of people who want their garden design can't visualize it because they're not that sort of person. They're not particularly a strong visual person. So it's important they know exactly what they're getting, or as close to what they're getting as possible. And sometimes they can't. And sometimes there are a breakdown of budget. Sometimes you get other people involved, like builders. We're going to slag builders off again. But sometimes builders come along and go, no, you don't want to do it like that. I'll do that, half the price, mate, and all this sort of stuff. We didn't want any drainage in it. And that can become very frustrating, I've got to say, when they've got someone else half advising them. Oh, no, my sister-in-law, she did an evening class in garden design once, and she thinks that we should do this. And actually, that's when you've just got, you and the client needs to engage. They can't just say, well, sometimes they'll say just completely leave it to it, and that's great sometimes. But if they half engage, they need to look at the drawings, they need to look at the planting, they need to think about the budget, and it's like any project. If they engage with you, then that's really important. And some people who've got a lot of money just think, oh, well, this is just another thing that sort of happens. But the more they engage and you get feedback and help get, drive it in a direction or tweak little bits of design, the better it's going to work for them as well.
It's enough seriousness. That was quite a serious speech. That was a good speech, but it was a serious speech.
Sorry about that.
No, I think it's fine, because I think that Jeremy has now got a thorough and sensible answer, and it just proves that we can do sensible when we have to. I think that I've got time for one more question, which you can pick from my question stack.
And it doesn't matter what the question is. We're going to have fun with it, James, because that was sorry.
No, it was good. I was going
to get the overhead projector out then, and the spreadsheets and the pie charts and everything. Okay. Oh, it's nice and short anyway. Phil.
Hang on.
Right. Okay, we've got a bit of an issue here, because Phil, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like this at all.
What's Phil done?
Joe and Alex loving the podcast.
What? Are you doing another podcast with somebody else?
No, he's got your
You're
name.
bloody two-timing me, Joe Swift.
It's because you're James Alexander-Sinclair. You've got 3 names, and he's just called you Alex.
It's fine. He won't be the first and won't be the last person to call me Alex.
That is...
But provided you promise me that you're not being unfaithful to me with somebody else called Alex.
I'm definitely not being unfaithful to you, but I don't know if we should proceed.
Okay, come on then. What's the question? He's got to work very hard to get a
Phil
name after that
we
bad
haven't
start.
done one accent. We haven't done one accent. I could do an Ealing accent.
Where does Phil come from?
Doesn't say.
We will have to invent it then.
Well, no, we want his address because we need to go around there and have a proper little chat.
What is the question?
I just found a hawk moth caterpillar attached to a willow herb that I was clearing. Where am I likely to find them, as I don't want to disturb their habitat?
Well, obviously on the willow herb.
The willow. They obviously like willow herb.
On the willow herb, on other things.
I'm not sure, actually, exactly.
A hawk moth, really rather spectacular.
Beautiful.
Moth that hovers. It likes the Verbena bonariensis very much indeed. You'll quite often find them around them at this time of year.
They're like a hummingbird. They're like a mini hummingbird. I love them.
Hummingbird, very nice.
In France, you see a lot of them in France, and they are moving into the south of England.
They used to be quite rare in this country. They're becoming less rare. Why is he asking us about entomology?
I don't know. What does he need for this one? He needs.
I mean, basically, you're most likely to find them on plants.
Yeah, you'll find them on plants in the garden.
That's basically
plants that they like to be on in the garden. That's where you'll find them.
That's pretty much. And then sometimes you'll find them on plants that they don't like to be on, but they'll be moving from that plant to another plant that they do like to be on. I think that's profound, Joe.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it there.
Okay,
you've nailed it.
So the question is that question interesting enough to get a gnome?
Phil, I don't think Phil is. And also, he called you Alex.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good point. Okay. Phil, could you write in again?
Well, first apologise to Mr. James Alexander-Sinclair. Don't just call him Alex. Have another go, maybe.
Yeah, okay. So Phil is off the list. We have come to the end of our allotted span for this week. I think we told people a lot about compost. We told them a lot about employing a garden designer. If they want to do more, if they want more of this stuff, Joe, they want more of us and other people, then what they really need to do is to go and sign up at Scribe Hand Gardening, where they will have a whole raft of delicious writers giving them all sorts of opinions and advice and all sorts of stuff on many, many different subjects. So you go and sign up at Scribe Hand, which is on the show notes. Send us a question. And the rules about the questions are?
No dead and no dull.
That's absolutely it. So send us a question, and we will be back next Tuesday when we drop yet again.